Hotep Senu, Hena Senut, E.T., Ren Ishaka Ndugu Kemet. I'm about to check the sound. Ren Ishaka Ndugu Kemet. I'm about to check the sound. That's good enough. That's good enough. Well, I felt like talking to the family, really. Now, we have MCT. Hello, sister. And we have Per Ankh, who wrote peace, health, and strength to the family. So we can say Hotep, Seneb, and Was. So feel free, brothers and sisters, with your comments and your questions. But there's one thing that I am quite surprised about. I've said that before, but I don't have my peeps from England. Besides Africanos world, but I'm wondering about Canada. Is there anything popping over there? Are there some traditional Africans, or let's say black people who follow the traditional African ways, or let's say Kemetic people? What's up? Do you know some people from Canada? What's going down over there? What's going on over there? Are there any channels that you could direct me to? Are there any people sharing the information? Some channels about Black history in general, Black culture in general, but really particularly uh, from non-Abrahamic believers. What you have on the screen, by the way, that's medunecher, a word that we use, well, a couple of words that we use so often, so often. So I have a few more. This one, some call it, in French, they say amon. In English, some say amun or amen. According to the transliteration, this is Imen, the hidden one. This is the name of a very famous Necher. Now, MCT wrote, have you ever been to the States, brother? I know it's off topic. It's no off topic. No matter what I talk about, it's never off topic, and I will never repeat it enough. So always feel free. No matter what title you see, brothers and sisters, always feel free. Now, yes, I have been to the States. The last time that was around, it was late 2009/early 2010. And that's when I made my first interview um, on an American platform. And it was my brother, Holip. Holipsism Heaven. You can check his YouTube account. And he used to have his program on Blog Talk Radio. So I don't know if he still has the archive there, but he has that YouTube channel. And that was January 2010. I was in Florida with some family, but I've been to the States before a few times. And I would like to go back to the States and do a museum trip because quite a fair bit of things to see over there. So keep the comments going and the questions going as well. And if you want to call in, then I've shared the call-in link. You have that pinned comment. but I also shared it afterwards. So MCT wrote, by the way, these symbols make sounds, not necessarily a word. Well, the glyphs have phonetic values, but now the ones on the screen, the second one, now you have to know the order of reading, but this one here, that stands for men. And men somehow, some way has something to do with stability. Like Jed. So you could say it doesn't really spell a word there, but some glyphs stand for some words. And one example, I have to look for it now. Okay. Hmm. I know I will do this. Bear with me. Um, is it really gonna prevent me from having the toolbar? Okay. I can't believe it. Um, 1 moment. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, I'll have to stop sharing then. It is. Oh, okay. I'll copy and paste then. That back to the top. And where were we? Where were we? There it is. So there it is. That's oh, I have to share. Be easier if I share, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be a lot easier if I share. That stands for sesh, which means scribe. And this is actually a scribe's palette. Actually, not only it stands for sesh, which means scribe, but it also means it also stands for seh, which means to write or writing. And that's where the ideograms or determinatives come in handy because they help us making the distinction between some words that are homonyms. We have Black on Purpose TV. I saw you during the live stream, during the last stream, sorry. Um, It's a original username. Bear with me. Okay. Now we have the TOP cast who wrote, "Isn't Imen and Imenet both in the Ogdoad?" Oh, well, I know about the Iliad, but the Ogdoad, well, the Ogdoad, that would be 8. The Iliad, that's 9. But let me see if it's different, if the Ogdoad is different. But I think it's not. I think it's just the same list of deities. Um, I can't reach my. Let's open up Britannica and see. Oh, let me have a quick look there. Oh, okay. So it is different. The Ogdoad is different than the Ennead. In the Ennead, there's no male and female. Well, uh, I mean, male and female counterpart, direct counterpart, or feminine form. For example, you have no and no net. So no net is of course the feminine counterpart or equivalent of noon. You have hehu and hehut, kekwi and kekwit, and ker and kerhet. Okay, but let me see if Britannica has an entry for Ogdoad. The Iliad is the most famous one. No, I don't have an entry on Britannica 2012. Um, it's mentioned, but we don't have the list on Britannica. Well, maybe if I do that, I don't think so. I can show the Iliad. I just have to find it and share it, so it shouldn't be too long. Okay, okay. Oh, you don't. Oh, Iliad. Oh, for real? Okay, problem. I will copy and paste then. Boom. Go back and space there. So that's it. The word for 9. And with these determinations, we know it's talking about the Iliad because we have the glyph for okay. However, it doesn't spell Necheru. So, Passaget, we have Temu or Atum. I'm sure you all heard about Atum. shu, which stands for air. Then we have tefnut, moisture. Then we have geb, which is earth. Well, I've received $5 in cash app. Thank you very much. Um, incredible collection plate. It's appreciated. Thank you for that. It's very kind of you. Geb stands for earth. Nut stands for sky. Usi, American people tend to say Osar. In Greek is Osiris. Aset, in Greek is Isis. Set, according to the transliteration, Sete. Some people say that Satan, Shaitan, derived from Set. That's what some people say. And Nebethut, or as the Greeks called her, Nephthys. So I need some beverage. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm back like Sankofa. I'm back like I left something. I'm back like I never left. I'm back like a spinal cord. Now the TOP cast wrote. Okay, yeah. So the TOP cast. Where did you learn the Medunecher? Who did you learn it from? Are you learning by yourself, or is someone teaching you, or has someone taught you? If it's a book, then which one, if you don't mind saying? Keep the comments going, brothers and sisters. I'm going through them as I speak. Per Onk wrote, what do you think about the use of psychedelic plants in the ancient world in order to get a deeper understanding of consciousness and spirituality. Well, I'm not sure that it would help to get a deeper understanding of consciousness and spirituality. But it's funny, it makes me think about someone who told me that in Arabia, people used to take intoxicants, or you can say psychedelics, or you might say drug, um, in order to be closer to their deity. But I'm not familiar with any kind of drugs because I never consumed any. But I guess it will make you feel some kind of way, so you will have lots of inspiration, and you might come up with a lot of thoughts, but it might feel real to you, but there might be a lot of illusion. Sorry. And a lot of times, spirituality is a matter of interpretation. Billy Boy wrote Hotep. Baby girl. RP, greetings to you, sister. She wrote, "Hey Shaka, do you have one for artists? Oh, a glyph for artists. I don't think so. I can have a quick look. There are so many glyphs, so I will have a look. But I really doubt it because I think I would have known about it. I would have came across it. But who knows? I mean, we might have one for a singer, for example, or dancer. And I said we might. I don't know. But for artists in general, uh, I don't think so. Well, on Gardener's Egyptian grammar, we don't have any. Now, let me try in plural. No, so I'm not saying it's an absolute no, but I don't think so. At least I'm not aware of it. The TOP wrote, "I like your channel. Not many people speaking on this topic." And oh, it was you, the TOP. Okay, thank you. He wrote, "You are welcome, sir." Asante, Meda Ase. Merci. Oh, okay. TOP, the Incredible Collection Plate. Okay. Radio 1, Hotel, brother. Yes, there was no sound because I went to get some juice. The TOP wrote, "I don't know much. I listened to a lot of Rakiti Amen and self-study." Oh, Rakiti Amen has been teaching for a long time. I have How to Read Hieroglyphic book and Burgess dictionaries. How to Read Hieroglyphics by Rakiti Amen or someone else? P said, "Thanks for looking." You're welcome, Sinet. But I went through all the comments. Let's keep the party going, brothers and sisters. Now, I don't plan on necessarily going for hours because it's not the weekend. But hey, if there's enough fun, then I might hang for a bit. But I really felt like talking to the family, so it's good that there's already a few of you. Remember to hit that like button. We have 9 likes. That's good. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Now, oh, Mirut, she's such a troublemaker. Now, the sound quality doesn't appear too nice. Um, doesn't appear too crisp. But usually after the live stream, it gets better. Well, on my phone, at least, it's not too bad, but on my PC, could be better. Do you have any questions, brothers and sisters, or statements? Anything you want to talk about? Oui, c'est vrai. P is asking about seasons like winter, summer, etc. Well, there were 3 seasons. Um, one of inundation, one of the water going down, and one of now the word is not harvest. There's another word, and I'm talking about English. So 3 seasons. No such thing as winter, and really in Kemet, winter doesn't really mean much. When I went to Kemet, it was winter time, and I was wearing t-shirts. Now in the morning and in the evening, yes, you might have something on top, but during the day, maybe from 10 a.m. and all through the afternoon, it was February, the coldest month of the year, uh, and you just need a t-shirt, nothing else. So winter doesn't mean much. Now I have those seasons, but that's for the class. I'm not gonna give too much away, but it's on the list of vocabulary. Doucement, doucement. C'est bien. So yes, no such thing as winter, summer, spring, fall. It's just different system. However, when it comes to time, we owe a lot, or we inherited a lot from Kemet. The 365 days a year comes from it. Even the 24-hour day comes from Kemet. So a lot of you might have heard that there were actually 360 days plus 5 that they add at the end of the year. So no trouble for people who were born on February 29, for example, because they spend some time without a birthday. Per Ankh is asking, and by the way, Per Ankh stands for house of life. Per means house. I've talked about that word many times. Ankh, I'm sure everybody knows it. Do you think the spirit and the body are separate? Well, when one is alive, I would say no. When one passes away, then maybe they are no longer um, the same entity. Well, it's getting quiet now. It might be a short one, that's fine. We'll see how it goes. But I wouldn't mind having some new callers, really. And if you know some people in England, in the UK, Great Britain, if you know some people, including Ireland, Northern Ireland, And if you know some people in Canada, then tell them that they can holler at us. I wonder why we don't have people from those areas. Radio One has called in. Hotep, son. Oh, we can't hear you. We don't hear any sound, brother. No, no, no. All right. 1 2 1 2.
I guess it's not too bad, but on my PC.
Well, there is sound indeed. Now, Radio One, there's something, some issue, but he has left the panel. But I think he might try again, but couldn't hear. No, he's back now. What's up, son?
Oh yes, brother. Yeah, I had lost my internet connection.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes, Hotep.
What's up?
Yes. Yeah. Just wanted to speak on this matter because I just had a couple back and forth debates, and and the I mean the dishonesty that's out there is amazing. You have people trying to put later sources or later authorities before early authorities and trying to interpolate words into into sources that it don't belong. So and that's a problem that's going on within our community. And yeah, I'm just now tuning in. So but I just wanted to talk on that, because the truth is out there, but it's being ignored, and it's not being entertained, and and people trying to make it seem as if there is no evidence for anything. But but truth be told, the evidence is not being brought forth. The evidence is being kept hidden. And while I'm on that subject, now I wanted to entertain a source. I'm going to be brief because I gotta do something probably about maybe 10 or 15 minutes or so. But I'll try to be brief as possible. And this is in relation to the metanetter and hieroglyphics, and this is something that is never entertained by Egyptologists or any scholar here on YouTube as well. It's like they just make up their own theories, and just make up what they want to say, and have no sources to back it up. And that's why I say showing the source is important. Do you mind if I share my screen, brother?
Not at all, brother. Go ahead.
Yes, indeed. Because because I've been talking about this for a while, but I never got a chance to really show, the source. And people been asking for it, so I'm going to show it now. And let's see here. And this definitely needs to be addressed. Okay, now, do you see that, brother?
Yes.
Yes. Now, this is from the ancient records of Egypt. Okay, the ancient records of Egypt, volume 2, the 18th dynasty, and page 40, line 98. Okay, and it's called the Universal Triumph. Now, this is from the records or the annals of Tutmos the First. Okay, and this is what he said. Okay, and this is not addressed by Egyptologists. and it says, universal triumph. Okay, line 98, page 40. It says, in quote, I made the boundaries of Egypt, Tamari, as far as that which the sun encircles. I made strong those who were in fear. I repelled evil from them. I made Egypt the superior of every land. Okay, so here he is saying that he made the boundaries of Egypt as far as that which the sun encircles. So he is talking about like all like the whole entire planet Earth, or all the land that the sun passes over. And and so when he's saying that, and he also says here, and I'm going to cross-reference another quote as well, so you can get a better understanding. It says here, okay, another universal triumph, okay, it's from also Tutmos the first, okay, page 30, line 73. He says, in quote, universal triumph, he brought the ends of the earth into his domain. He trod its two extremities with his mighty sword, seeking battle. Okay. He says, but he found no one who faced him. He penetrated the valleys which the royal ancestors knew not, which the wearers of the double diadem had not seen. His southern boundary is as far as the frontier of this land. His northern boundary is as far as the inverted water, which goes downstream and going upstream, okay, which is the Euphrates River. Now I'm going to end it there. And it says, okay. Yeah, I'm going to continue here, okay. When we go further down, he says, the like has not happened to other kings. His name has reached as far as the circuit of heaven. It has penetrated the two lands as far as the netherworld. The oath is taken by it in all lands because of the greatness of the fame of his majesty. They were not seen in the archives of the ancestors since the worshippers of Horus, who gives his breath that the one who follows him, his offerings to the one that treads his way. His majesty is Horus, assuming his Horus kingdom of myriads of years. Subject to him are the isles of the great circle, the ocean or Oceanus. The entire earth is under his 2 feet. Now, he is saying here that, this doesn't necessarily means that, that the entire earth, such as America. It would be crazy to say that, that America and places like China are, but he says, when he says that the two extremities, the two extremities is, I will take as referring to the east towards the sunrise and the west towards the sunset, and he says that his northern boundary was as far as the inverted water, which is now when he says the inverted river, he's referring to the Euphrates River, because the Euphrates River flows in the opposite direction of the Nile River. The Nile River flows from south to north. The Euphrates River flows from north to south. So that's what he means when he's talking about the inverted river. And and actually it's both north and east of Egypt as well. And then compare and contrast, he's referring to the other extremity, which would mean the south and west. So the south meaning Cush and Punt and all the land towards the west. So that's what I take as him meaning, the ends of the earth, or the two extremities, which would include, in the land in West Africa, because, but he also mentions, I'm going to go here. Okay. He also says here that, going to be brief, okay. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, it says here in 296, okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it says this is from Tutmosis III, page 295, line 763. And it says, this splendid stela of Intef the herald, this splendid stela was erected by the royal herald of Tutmosis III, whose important offices were the following. And it says, in quote, hereditary prince, count, companion, great in love, count of Thinis of the Thinite nome, lord of the entire Oasis region, great herald of the king. So this also showing that the ancient Egyptians were also ruled and occupied the Oasis region, and and also says something about the southern oases as well. But it's just shows that that the ancient Egyptians were in the west, and when Tutmosis the first says, when Tutmosis the first says that he conquered the ends of the earth, or all the land that the sun encircles, he's referring to all of Africa, and so you can't just say that that ancient Egyptian influence reached only the half part of Africa, when Tutmosis the first is saying that it reached all of Africa towards the ends of the earth. Now when he says,
can we definitely come to that conclusion that it means all of Africa? However,
yes, because okay, say because it really, like, okay, say if an Egyptologist is saying that Egyptian influence only reached, say, 400 miles or 500 miles to the west in the Siwa oases, okay, that will go against what Tutmosis the first is saying here. Okay, Tutmosis the first is saying, no, east, west, north, and south, my boundary was as far as the ends of the earth. Now, when he says the ends of the earth, okay, he is not, he is referring to land, okay, because earth, some people will take it as the entire earth, but earth also means land. He's talking about the land that's east, west, north, and south. And and when we deal with the land, okay, if he's saying that the land to the west, he reached the land to the west towards the ends of the earth, we know that the land to the west of Egypt ends at the Atlantic Ocean. And after the Atlantic Ocean, there's no more land. There's nothing but sea, or ocean. And if you cross the ocean, then you will reach the continent of America, and then that's where land shows up again. But after, but if you're going west of Africa or west of Egypt, and you're penetrating and traversing the Western Sahara Desert, and if you keep on going west, okay, if you're going west, not south, not north, but if you're going west, the end of that land, or the ends of that earth, will end at the Atlantic Ocean. So but this is just to give you an ideal of what the ancient Egyptians are saying. Some may agree with it or not, but this is what they're saying. They're saying that their boundary reached wherever that wherever that land ended, and it's saying that the ends of the earth. And if you look at and also I'll go here, okay, because I like to give definitions what I'm talking about, and I'm going to end it here. Yeah, and it says here, okay, we go to the definition of earth, okay. Okay, it says, wait a minute, okay. Yeah, let's go here, okay. so people can get understanding. It says here the definition of earth in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Okay, we see that earth. Okay, and we go down. It says for another definition, areas of land as distinguished from sea and air. So it also says for the first definition, fragmental material composing of part of the surface of the globe. Okay, that's talking about the entire earth, the globe, but it can also mean earth as in areas of land as distinguished from sea and air, and that's what I believe that the ancient Egyptians or the angels of Tutmosis is referring to, the ends of the earth, and but the Egyptologists, they do not entertain this because it will contradict what they believe in, and it is saying that when the ancient Egyptians went east, west, north, and south, they reached the ends of their part of the world, and that's what it's saying, and it's up to you whether if you want to believe in it or not. But I'm just saying that, hey, that's what it's saying, and it's not saying that, oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, it might be a matter of interpretation, because, for example, there's this term that they will use. They will use a term that can be translated by million. As a matter of fact, I think there's a temple called the Temple of Millions of Years. Um, but million was used by the people of Kemet to denote a not necessarily something infinite uh, s- or literally a million, but a huge number, a huge amount. So I I'm not saying it's not the case, but I don't know if we can really state, if we can really make the affirmation that Kemet at any point in its history rule the whole of Africa.
Yeah, because Africa, okay, now we know Africa is a very broad land, okay, and but it's saying here that that they reached the far west. Now, if you're going in a straight line and you're going west of, I'll say west of Thebes or west of Waset or Luxor, and you keep going west, you're going to end up somewhere in the area of Mauritania and or the Western Desert, and it is saying that so it's like if they're saying that they went west in that in a straight line, you know they will end up in the area, but not, and that and we know that that does not applies to all of Africa, because you have South Africa, you have yeah, the southern part of Africa, and Central Africa in that area, the Congo, so it's like he's saying that they pass. It's another way of saying that they pass through the desert, to reach the ends of the earth, and that's what he's talking about, and yeah, but it seems to me like it's another way of him saying that he reached the western extremities of the earth, which is west of Egypt, and we know that that's not talking about all of Africa, but it does mean extreme west of Egypt, but Egyptologists try to make it seem as if it's talking about the west bank of the Nile, or the lands near Egypt to the west, when we know that it's not, and but here's another quote from Herodotus that corresponds with that, and it says here that in Herodotus book 3 chapter 114, okay, it says, as one passes beyond the place of the midday, which is the south, says that's because the word used to translate is Mesombria, it means south, but it has south in other translations, but this translation, it says, as one passes beyond the place of the midday or south, the Ethiopian land is that which extends furthest of all inhabited lands towards the sunset. Okay, when it says towards the sunset, it's talking about towards the west, and it's talking about the furthest west, meaning wherever that land ends, that is Ethiopia. And I believe that this corresponds with what Tutmosis was saying when he said that he reached the ends of the earth. He's talking about the wherever the land ends, that's his boundary, and that's what he's saying, and this is what Herodotus is saying about Ethiopia as well, but that's what it means. So it's like, if they're trying to include out West Africa, okay, trying to take West Africa out of the picture, they're wrong for doing that, because this is talking about the West, okay? Because when we go here and go into the hieroglyphics, we see that the extreme West is mentioned. So I'm like, if you're talking about West Africa, but it's talking about the West here, okay, and if you're saying that this is not West Africa, but every time you turn your head, you're seeing the West, extreme West, then what are you talking about? So it's like, are we talking about West Africa? Are we talking about the West? Or are we talking about another part of Africa? Okay, because here he's talking about the West, and if you're going to say West Africa, you better mean West Africa, because this is what it's talking about. Don't say it's not talking about West Africa, and then when we go to the records and see the west of Africa mentioned, all of a sudden it's not West Africa, and that's the problem that's going on, so it's like, they will say that West Africa is not in the picture whenever it's convenient for them, to entertain their own opinion. But when we go to the records and prove that, that the ancient Egyptians are talking about the West, the extreme West, then all of a sudden, it's not West Africa anymore. So, but yeah, I'm going to stop sharing that. But I just wanted to point that out, because these are sources that are not being entertained, and the truth is not being told by them. The truth is not being told about them, and it's like, these sources, they need to be entertained, and they, and in a discussion, there needs to be a discussion on the matter, because what's going on is definitely not right. Now, when I hear somebody say that, where is the ancient Egyptian influence in West Africa? Why we don't see any ancient Egyptian influence in West Africa? That is a silly question, because my answer to that will be the same reason why we see no ancient Egyptian influence in modern day Egypt and in Sudan, because it was all erased away when Christianity, Islam, and most of all, the modern age came in. Okay, when these religions arrived in the modern in the times of modern, the modern age, erased a lot of these old customs that used to be practiced by East Africans and West Africans. But some of them still survive today, and because of the modern age, and because of religion, we don't know how certain Africans dress, the old dress or costume of certain Africans, because when you go to the continent, you're going to see most Africans wearing jeans. They're going to wear jeans and t-shirts, and mainly the modern age, it erased all that. And I'm sure, I can bet my money that 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, the people in West Africa during the time of the ancient Egyptian empire, and even a little after that, would have had some similarities to the people along the Nile Valley in Kush and in ancient Egypt, 2,000, 3,000 years ago. But being that it is the modern day, the modern age, and the coming of religion and Islam and Christianity, we see that no more, not even in Egypt and not even in Sudan, and I believe that, that there was a lot of similarities between the people of Sudan and especially southern Egypt with the people of West Africa, because when we go into the historian Strabo, when he mentions the like what the Western Ethiopians and the people of that region wore, people called the Mari, the Marudans and the Ethiopians, he said that they wore leopard skins and lion skins, and they wore tunics that were similar to the ancient Egyptians, and their hairstyle was also similar to the ancient Egyptians. He's talking about the Western Ethiopians, the people of West Africa, and he's saying that their clothes and their costume and some of their ways of life were similar to the Cushites and ancient Egyptians. But if we go to West Africa today, we're not going to see that, because we're in 2020, 2021. So it'll be ridiculous to say where are the ancient Egyptians? Where is the ancient Egyptian influence in West Africa today? Because it's 2021, and for the same reason why it's not in Egypt or in Sudan today, and when you see me on my new channel, dressing as an ancient Egyptian, and honoring the ancestors, that is me honoring the ancestors and dressing for the occasion. Because when I dress for the occasion and speak the truth about the histories and the writings of the ancestors, I can't go no wrong, so I'm dressing for the occasion in honor of the ancestors, to speak the truth and tell the truth and entertain the truth about the writings they left behind, and the writings and also the writings that, from other sources that, that's according to the ancient Egyptians, such as Herodotus, Herodotus book 2. The entire Herodotus book 2 is coming from the ancient Egyptians. He is talking to the ancient Egyptians. He says that, and that's why I dress for the occasion, because it is, it is my duty and it's my honor to tell the truth, So it's like when I dress for the occasion, I can't fail the ancestors. I can't go no wrong. So, and that's the reason why, you see some of us dress for the occasion, because we can go on the tombs, we know how they look, that doesn't mean we go out and dress that way every day, that doesn't mean I'll go to the, to the store and, and dress and be dressing like an ancient Egyptian. I mean, I wear my ankh every day. I put my ankh on. But I'm not going to go to the store, and walk around with a bead collar and a crown on my head. But I mean, if you put that crown on your head, it and you leave it on there for a long time, it kind of hurts. So yeah, so I can't put that on every day. But yeah, but it's for the occasion. But and this subject, it needs to be entertained and it needs to be discussed, because there's so much covering up going on, and the truth is not being told about it. People coming up with their own opinions and ignoring the sources, and it was, if the subject was in a professional scholarly atmosphere, and you're actually talking to smart people, because some people stay in denial. It's why it's hard to debate a dumb person, but if you're actually talking to well-educated, head on straight, scholarly, authorities, they will understand where I'm coming from, and I'm just hoping that, that I get an opportunity to do that someday. But but until then, it is what it is. But I'm just saying that the dishonesty that's going on around here is amazing. And
I hear you. Hold on, I just have to plug
soon,
my PC. Hold on, but you can continue. I just have to plug my PC, otherwise
oh yes.
the battery's gonna die.
Oh man, okay. Yeah, but I just wanted to say that you know just to expand the live stream, um but yeah, but I mean, I just think it's sad, how our people can claim so many of these identities and have no foundation or no source to back them up, but and they get away with it. Those who come up with these claims, they get away with it. But as soon as I pull up a source, you know, to prove my claim, and I know my claim is closest to the truth, okay, all of a sudden there's a problem, okay. But you can get away with your made up lie that's not supported by any source, you know, and that's why it is my duty to expose your lie and call out your lie, and that's what and when I get the chance, that's what I do, you know, because it is wrong for you to interpret words into sources that do not belong. Okay. It is wrong for you to put West Africa in the Bible and place the Israelites there. Okay. When the Bible does not do that, the Bible does not place Israelites in West Africa, and it is wrong for you to do that. And that is the amount of pseudoism that's going on here. And like so many scholars, okay, so-called scholars, or some of these YouTube scholars, okay, such as from from the conscious community, they are also guilty of doing that. They're making up claims. They're making up claims based on late sources and disregarding and ignoring the older original sources. That's what's going on here, and they get away with it, and that's why they try so hard as to kick me off their platform. They don't want me on their platform because they know I'm going to call them out, and expose them for it, So as soon as I come on, they try to hurry up and kick me off because they don't want to get exposed for being a liar. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The ancient Egyptians, what the ancient Egyptians are saying is different from what the Egyptologists are saying. And I can see if like and the reason I find some truth in what Tutmosis the first is saying and Tutmosis the third is saying, because this is like the only time where it is mentioned. Now, it's not like that, every pharaoh in his record mentions that they conquered the ends of the earth, or the two extremities of the world, or all the land that or all the land under the sun. Okay. Not every pharaoh says that, and I study this and I know this. We don't find that mentioned in the records of Ramesses the third, the records of the 12th dynasty and 11th dynasty kings. Only the 18th dynasty says this, and that's why I connect the people called the Ethiopians with the 18th dynasty, because the Ethiopians are the only people that are said to have um, uh, left Egypt and migrated west, towards the extreme west, towards the ends of the earth. And the Ethiopians worship the god Amen, worship the god Zeus, or which is another name for Amen. And they are also called the Amunians, and this is a direct match with the 18th dynasty Egyptians. I mean, because the Ethiopians, the Ethiopians, everything about them says 18th dynasty. You can pretty much say that the Ethiopians are the direct descendants of the 18th dynasty, because everything about them is 18th dynasty. And it is only in the 18th dynasty, as what I just showed, that they're saying that they they reach the ends of the earth, and this is not mentioned in any earlier or even any later ancient Egyptian records. We don't find it mentioned in the 26th dynasty, the 25th dynasty. We don't find it mentioned in the 12th dynasty, the first dynasty, the 11th dynasty, only during the 18th dynasty. And this discussion definitely needs to be brought to light, because it is being ignored, and lies are being told, and and we can debate about the race of the ancient Egyptians all day, but and that's what I'm hearing most of the time. But this subject here of where the ancient Egyptians went, where did ancient Egyptian influence go, is being ignored, and all I'm saying is West Africa is in the picture. Okay, now you might can take South Africa out of the picture, or even Southern Africa or Congo and that part of Africa, but West Africa is in the picture when you stick to the records, you know, and um and and that's the truth that I entertain, you know, and unfortunately, I get a lot of backlash, and I don't get a lot of support for it, because I guess because it doesn't fit the agenda of others, you know. But it is what it is, Just because I'm not getting the support that I should get doesn't mean I'm going to stop entertaining it, because that's not what it is about. It's about the truth, no matter who don't believe me or not. That's what I'm going to entertain. You know, and yeah, but it's like when people get this privilege, of learning history and telling history, they tend to go to take the wrong path, and go towards the path of deception instead of going towards the path of truth, and they go and they be all over the place and just start making up things. If I wrote a book where I'm just making up stuff, you know how long that book would be. If I can write 1,000-page book nonstop if I'm just making up things based on my own imagination, and that's what's going on. A lot of pseudo scholars are, writing books, and they're not showing any proof of what they're talking about, and people are buying into it. Writing a book without citing any source of information is like writing a movie script. You can go on and just make up things based on your own imagination, and that's not right. You know,
Indeed.
and
Well, the the literature has kind of conquered a lot of minds, so they are comfortable. They are in a comfort zone, and why change a winning team? And it takes time. It takes time. As we know, at one point, even though now we still have some people who are flat earthers who feel like the earth is flat, but it was a consensus, um, probably mainly because of the Catholic Church. And
yeah,
the people who saw otherwise were not seen in a good eye. They could face a lot of trouble, but it took a lot of time for people to come to grasp that what they initially thought to be a fact was not the case. And for Black people, we have to keep it real. It's going to take a
yeah,
lot of time. It's I know, and been there when you come across some information and that leads you outside of the Abrahamic belief system. You have a great zeal. You have a great drive to reach as many people as possible. And a lot of time early on, at the early stage, you might feel like, you will manage to open the eyes of so many people. But over time, we realize that it's only a few and it takes so long. However, as long as we continue doing the work and being accurate and being sharp, then over time it's going to grow. It's going to grow, and we will progress as a people.
Yes, indeed. I mean, because I just put it like this, and the Abrahamic believers, they've been known for, you know, uh, disregarding reality, rejecting reality, and ignoring historical sources. But I put it like this, man. If you don't know, just say you don't know. Don't make up anything. Because that's the problem going on. They, instead of saying that they don't know, they rather just make up a lie, make up a fantasy, and then and hope not to get um and hope not to get caught doing it, or not to get caught, or not being exposed, but it is what it is, and and I also want to touch on this as well, like when it comes to like other empires such as the Assyrians and like the Persians, when they mention in their records that they conquered the West, they call it the land of Amuru, which and they call it the wide land of Amuru in the sea of the setting sun, which is referring to the Hittite country. They call it the Hatti land, which is the Hittite country. And if you look at the geography, the Hittite land is far west of Assyria. So when it's as far west as it get, towards the sea. When the Assyrians say that they conquered the west, the land of Amuru, towards the great sea of the setting sun, it is talking about the coast of Turkey, or the Hittite land, or the westernmost part of the Mediterranean. Now, people don't have a problem when the Syrians say that, that they conquered the west, towards its farthest extremity. But when the ancient Egyptian says they conquered the west towards the farthest extremity, then all of a sudden, it's not talking about the Atlantic Ocean. It's talking about the west bank of the Nile. And it makes no sense. They can't even admit that the far west even means the oases. They say the west bank of the Nile. So they tell a big lie. And we know that that is not true. You know, that ancient Egyptian influence went way much further than that. And it's like they are confusing the ancient Egyptian influence and conquest with Egypt itself. Okay, now when we go west of Egypt, okay, the Siwa oases, okay, that's not that's not that's not the western, um, the western boundary, or the land conquered by Egypt. That's Egypt itself. So when the ancient Egyptian says they went far west, they're talking about beyond the Siwa oases, beyond that, in extreme west. Just like when it says, well, Elephantine or Aswan, okay, that's the southern boundary of Egypt. I mean, that's the southernmost part of Egypt. That's not talking about, you know, um, um, as far as the Egyptian conquest and Egyptian influence went. The Egyptian conquest and influence, or colonies from Egypt, the influence of Egypt went beyond Elephantine in the south. It went beyond Elephantine to Napata, all the way to the land of Punt. So you can't confuse Elephantine with Napata in the land of Punt, because Elephantine is Egypt itself. Okay, but Napata in the land of Punt, that is referring to lands conquered by Egypt outside of Egypt. Okay, and just like with with the Red Sea, and the Sinai Desert, or the Gaza, the part called Gaza, or Pelusium. That's the eastern border of Egypt. That's Egypt itself. That's not to be confused with the Tigris and Euphrates River. Because the Tigris and Euphrates River is where the ancient Egyptian conquest and influence reach. That's beyond Egypt. That's outside of Egypt. So you can't confuse lands outside of Egypt with Egypt itself. And that's the confusion that's going on with Egyptologists. Because they're trying to make it seem that way, especially when it comes to the West. But that's the biasness that's taking place. And you know, yeah. And I was told by some other users that they were going to join in for the next live stream, but they're not here. So yeah, but we're trying to hold it down is see if they get here. But they yeah,
But you
they're
mean you mean some of the people who disagree with what you're saying, or who disagree with what I'm saying, or just some people who wanted
oh yeah,
to.
I'm talking about the guys who usually join in with us.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I know I heard a live stream, from what's his name, um, Al Quan. Yeah, he came onto my page. Yeah, he came onto my page, and he invited me to come onto his live stream, but I never, I didn't. It's pointless, man. I'm not gonna go over there, man, because
You're right.
what's the point?
You're
You know,
right. You've used the right word. It's pointless. He sent me a message. I can't even remember where. Or he might have left a comment to let me know that he was going to make a live stream about me. And I've
yeah,
scrolled through like a couple of his videos, and just to listen to a few seconds here and there, and we'll keep going forward. But I mean, we y- there's these people who come with different usernames, and I know who's behind it. So it's all good.
yeah, yeah.
He
I
wants
mean, because yeah, I mean, because if I
like,
go
like
over there,
it's not. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's not really interesting talking with him because as you know, he has 10,000 questions. He doesn't want to answer questions, and when you're tired of answering his questions with him not answering questions, then he's accusing you of kind of all kind of censorship and all that. I mean, it's just tiring, really. Um, yeah, it's just pointless. I mean, it's just pointless. He can do his thing, but
yeah, because it's like, if I go over there and kick some knowledge, it's not like he gonna listen anyway, So what's the
yeah,
point? Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but it's just a waste of time, So yeah, and I didn't even respond, man. So it was,
Mhm.
he's
You
not
did the
even worth.
right thing. You did the
Yeah,
right thing.
yeah,
You did the right thing. Yeah, you did the
yeah,
right thing. Uh, yeah, he's he can do his thing. He has his lane. He can do his thing. He can do his thing.
yeah. And he has. I'm sure he has that crazy fool, Tyrone, or whatever his name over there. So yeah,
But
so
first, the brother was real. He was polite. I mean, I did not agree with his claims, but he was polite. He was not. He was not talking sideways. And then I won't. Well, it's that time where basically it's that time where I cut him off because I was tired of him not answering questions. And from that point on, he. But anyway, we have Hassan who's joined us. Let's welcome Hassan. What's up, Sen? What's up, Hassan?
What's up? Um, yeah, who is this guy that you guys are talking about? It sounds like he's like Voldemort or something. Was he in any of the previous live streams or something?
He was, yes, he was. I don't even really want. I mean, his name was mentioned, but I don't really want to give him too much energy. But he feels like he's indigenous to America. He feels like most black people, most African Americans are actually, or let's say, most Black Americans are indigenous to America. And he likes to ask, what does an African look like? He doesn't know, and he when I tell him, Kobe Bryant, and very famous people, Jay-Z, P Diddy, and all that. He doesn't agree. He feels like Native Americans look more like Black Americans than Africans, which is funny to me because we can take so many Africans and dress them a Western way. People wouldn't be able to make a difference, and we can take many African Americans and dress them with traditional African clothing, and people will not have a clue. People will have no clue that those are not actually continental Africans, but that they are African Americans. So uh, yeah, it's just, maybe we've talked too much about him.
Well, the
So
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
I came across that idea. I know someone close to me who read something like online and was convinced for some time that like, yeah, no, we are the actual Native Americans or something like that. And I think there's just this group of people who, I mean, that is when people say that like you're Afrocentric if you think, Kemet is a black country. I think they're insane. They're trying to gaslight. But I do think that that is just you're trying to make every culture sort of like, unnecessarily black. But like, how did black people get here? And then why are black people in Africa is sort of like the most basic question, right? Like, how did we? Okay, so we're here, but there's also these people on this other continent who look like us, and I guess maybe slavery is something that is like faked and whatnot. But I don't know. Like, there was also that other person who was talking about like how the white men are experiments created in labs, which I guess is like orthodox for the Nation of Islam. But I just think that it's very hard to talk about these subjects without opening it up for a little bit of zaniness or craziness, if you will. Um, but yeah, black people as Native Americans, very interesting. Very
and
interesting.
that that's one thing I've heard that before. But when I show artifacts and depictions from the Levant, from Mesopotamia, Sumer, and the Near East, the Middle East, and this guy and his comrades basically are trying to say that those are black people. He even likes to use the word Afro. He said he's denying their Afros. I'm like, come on now, those are straight hair. But at the end of the day, you have a term in English. You call it wishful thinking, and I think it's sad. I think it's sad. But then again, a lot of our scholars back in the days, they've pushed that stuff. They've pushed that stuff of black Semites and all that. So it's going to take a long time for us to come to grips with the actual reality. And it's very important for me, and I've mentioned it many times, but it's very important for me to go to many museums and show depictions of these Asiatics, of these Middle Easterners, because it will become clearer for most people. A lot of people don't have a clue at all. But
Yeah,
let
I
me just
mean,
let me just, if you don't mind, let me just go through comments quickly. Now, per Ankh is asking, do I think the spirit in oh no, I've read that. So RP asked me if I ever played the Senate game. No, I never played it. But I think one of the brothers who's taking the classes has played it. And per Ankh is asking, do I think the duat is an actual place in the cosmos, or is the duat a state of consciousness? I don't think it. Well, it might be a state of consciousness, but it's a place. It's like the hereafter. So, how to exactly say where?
Yeah, I
Now,
would say both. I would say both.
both probably. Now, TOP just gave us the name of the book that is using to read, well, to learn the Medunecher. We have Divine Smite who has joined us. We have Fatoumata Soe who wrote, were the indigenous tribe of people in ancient Egypt. No, who were the indigenous tribe of people in ancient Egypt? Well, I wouldn't be able to say when it comes to tribe. I mean, I see Kemet as uh, a population of indigenous people. I'm not really familiar with tribes. When it comes to Nubia, there are different names, different groups of people, so we could label them tribe. I'm not sure if there's that concept of tribe as we understand it. But I guess yes, you could say different tribe or ethnic groups, or maybe just groups. Period. So for Nubia, we've seen that, but maybe one second. Sorry, maybe those were just different people from different towns in Nubia. Who knows? So maybe the question that Fatumata is asking is, where do they come from? Most likely from the south, but I'm not really familiar about different kind of groups uh, from Kemet, or different ethnic groups or tribes. Afroasiatic has joined us. Per Ankh says that Theophado Benga makes a linguistic correlation between West Africa and Kemet. Yes, indeed. I've referred people many times to this PDF. For those who don't know, the video is called West Africa Relationship with Kemet, or Kemet Relationship with West Africa, and you will have the link in the description section. Um, and I think, oh yes, Tahaka is talking about the Shabaka stone, which is now in the British Museum and has the earliest story of creation. The Shabaka stone is dated from the 25th dynasty. I doubt that it will be one of the earliest story of creation, because if it's the 25th dynasty, that's towards the end of Kemet, and I think there's some other creation stories before, but we could, you know, uh, go deeper into that later on. Um, RP said that she looked up the Shabaka stone, and Wiki says that it was intentionally damaged. And Inspired One has joined us as well. So yes, feel free, Brother Hassan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, one of my things that, apart from discussing, I think that the issue of projecting blackness onto other cultures is like a part of an internalized sort of dogma ideology of the people who have oppressed black people, right? So Abrahamic religions, like the Torah, the Bible, Christianity, right, centers Jewish people because the Torah was written by Jewish people. The ancient Egyptians were very Egyptian centric, right? They believed that like the sun set and rose on the Nile for them, right? Um, and they were like the center of the cosmos, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're outside of that culture, and that culture sort of is the dominant culture, as you see with people who believe Abrahamic faiths. Sort of the reaction is like, well, we're not in these stories, right? You hear about God and how He saved the Jews from slavery in ancient Egypt, and you think, well, what about us? What about us right now? Like, black people in the Americas, maybe not so much in places like Haiti and the Dominican Republic, but in the United States at least, looked to that sort of inspiration of the story of the Israelites to power through or to keep hope during you know the time of like the Underground Railroad and slavery and all of that, and they sort of put themselves. We've always sort of like put ourselves into that story, into that context. Um, but it was just never written for us. It was never designed with black people sort of in mind as like anything other than antagonist, I guess. Um, the ancient Egyptians are antagonists for Jewish people in the Bible mythically. But that sort of salvation, that sort of gospel of like God loves you and He's here to protect you and all of that, yeah, it doesn't incorporate sort of the worldview or like mesh well with the worldview that Europeans are dominating. They are enslaving, murdering, capturing Africans and using them like they're animals and demeaning their lives. Like that doesn't you can't make sort of sense of that. And so I guess one way people make sense of that is to say, well, actually, the Bible is referring to us and our plight and our struggle. Or they might say, Muhammad was actually one of us. He was black, and like the reason why we're going through all of this is because like we are in fact the chosen people, because that is already sort of central to your culture. So you're trying to like make sense of the world, given that, you know, these things are true. How can I reconcile that with the fact that my oppression is also true? So I don't think it's a problem in that like people find their own ways to sort of cope with reality, but it is a problem when it comes to like, you know, dogmatically sort of dismissing um, and sort of like silencing or try to cut down anyone who talks about the actual sort of like history of it all. Um, but I don't think it's hard to challenge institutions, right? It's hard to, you know, overthrow the master using his own tools. That famous, as the famous quote goes. So, um, if someone it does not believe in Abrahamic religions, it's very much easy to say, "Well, okay, none of it is true, and it has nothing to do with my worldview." And we can look at it from a secular perspective, right? Like white people needed a people who did not know the land in America, in the Americas, and they needed a people that they can point out easily, right? So when they had white people and they tried to enslave them, well, they can blend in with the other white people, right? And when they tried to enslave the natives, well, the natives knew the land, so they escaped very easily. And there were more of them in the beginning. So, you know, black people weren't chosen from any other magical reason than convenience, that they could do it easily. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
I kind of sympathize with that, but like at the same time, it is not useful when you want to, you know, actually get into the history of it all.
yeah. And also, like when you said about the sun, the Egyptians seeing the sun as their universe. We have to also distinguish from what Egyptologists are saying and what the ancient Egyptians are saying. Now, when the theory is made that the ancient Egyptians did not go outside of Egypt, okay, that's not the Egyptians saying that. That is Egyptologists saying that. White Egyptologists saying that. The Egyptians are not saying that because it is the white Egyptologists, not the Egyptians, but the white Egyptologists who want to keep Egypt within Egypt because they don't want anyone else claiming Egypt. And it also has to do with a lot of modern Egyptians, okay, with this fake pride and Egyptian pride and going on, that because of political reasons, they want to keep Egypt within Egypt. They don't want anyone else claiming Egypt. When we know good and well that that goes against what the ancient Egyptians say, and that's why whenever we are get into a debate with them or conversation with them, we have to bring that up because they're going against what the ancient Egyptians say. Because at the end of the day, it's all about what the ancient Egyptians say, not what they say, and it is a sad shame that we have people today, you know, who are this worse. I mean, who are this slick because they are slick, and a lot of them they're damn near criminal minded, and they do not care because they want it all to go their way. It's all about what they say. Forget about the truth, and that's the problem that's going on with many of these so-called authorities. They want it to go their way, and so many different opinions and theories that's made up by them, and all of them go against the truth, you know. And I can go on a platform and I will be different from everybody on that platform. Everybody is going to have their, some of them may be similar and hold the same beliefs, but I'll tell them, right off the back that, hey, I'm different from all of y'all. I don't believe in anything you guys believe. Okay. Okay. That goes for people who say that we are just West Africans. Okay. Because they have no ancient or foundational sources to support that. Okay. Because when we go to the ancient foundational sources, West Africans say that they came from the Nile Valley. Okay. That's what the ancient sources say. And even after that, they even say that they came from Yemen. Okay. But we have sources that predates those sources that's saying that they came from Yemen, the sources that predate those sources saying that they came from the Nile Valley. So the sources that says that Western ancestors came from the Nile Valley predates the sources that says they came from Yemen. But even the sources that says they came from Yemen predates the sources that's saying that they're just West African, because this claim that West African is just West African is very late. It's coming from very late scholars. Even the earliest Nigerian historian, who goes by the name of Samuel George or something like that. Samuel, he is the first Nigerian historian, and even he says that, you know, a lot of the ancestors of West Africa came from southern Egypt. You know, that's what he says, and this is maybe 300, 200 years ago, but he was the first of his kind to say that. So it's like, you know, there's so many different theories going on, and it's like, you know, we can't just come to one accord and agree on one truth. You know, and that's sad. You know, that is very sad. And like I said, you know, the white Egyptologists, you know, a lot of what they say are not is not being said by the Egyptians, and you have to. That's why you have to read and study what the ancient Egyptians are saying, and that way you would know what they're saying is wrong. You know, and a lot of people, you know, don't have that area of study, so when they say that, you know, they just right off the bat believe them. And that's sad.
Yeah. So on the subject of white Egyptologists, sometimes they what's so funny to me is when you have an Egyptologist, well, or an anthropologist. Well, mostly it's Egyptologists, right? Because anthropologists actually study and are able to determine, like, okay, this person came from this region of the world. Egyptologists are supposed to understand and learn the Medu Neter and sort of understand the culture, but they can't really answer or speak to sort of racial questions of like migration, like what part of the valley that these people came from and how to distinguish between this type of Nubian and this other type of Nubian. They can't answer those questions because that's more of an anthropological questions, but they try to. And when they do, they kind of tell on themselves. So one of the most racist um, Egyptologists, like, known, and he's a big name because all of them were racist at one point, is Petrie. I think Petrie and Flounders are two of the biggest Egyptologists. I'm looking for the book. His name is Petrie, and it's called The Making of Egypt, London, New York, Sheldon Press, 1939. So this is like, you know, during the era of Jim Crow. And he does an analysis of the mummies of the 18th dynasty. um, I have like the quotes written out, but I don't have the actual book. Um, so I mean, I could find the book, but
Yeah. Hmm.
what he says is he's analyzing. I think analyzing Amos, Amos Nefertari, Ahotep, which is their mother, and then Sequenre Tau, which is their father. So this is the 17th to 18th dynasties, right? And he says uh, the later Hyksos were obviously decadent, and at last an invasion from the south drew them back northward and established a black queen as the divine ancestress of the 18th dynasty. Thus, again, a southern people reanimated Egypt, like the Sudani third dynasty and the Gala 12th dynasty. And then he goes on to say that, and this is speaking about Sequeninre Tau, is that his entire lower facial complex, in fact, is so different from other pharaohs that he could be fitted more easily into the series of Nubian and Old Kingdom Giza skulls than into that of later Egyptian kings. And so, I mean, depending on how you define those terms, you still might be a little, you know, pissed off. But essentially, like, what that tells us is that from his framework, you know, the older Egyptians are like the Nubians, and then as you go on, less so. Um, it's hard to really, like, for me, it's hard to get a wrapping on that because after the 18th dynasty, we have the 19th dynasties with Ramses, right? And then after that, we have freaking Libyans take over. So is he referring to like the Libyans, or was there some sort of huge admixture? And then you eventually have the 25th dynasty, which is the Kushites taking over, and then there's the 26th dynasty, which is the end. So which of those pharaohs were like less black, sort of in his imagination, or like in the common imagination of the ancient Egyptian, of what we think about the ancient Egyptians? And like when people talk about ancient Egypt, are they actually talking about like after the Assyrian sort of empire, like after the fall of Egypt? Are they including Ptolemy? It's very weird um, to even discuss it with people because there's so much time between like the building of the pyramids and Cleopatra that you could just say, yeah, like look at Cleopatra. She is this is what the Egyptians looked like, and she was white. So
Yeah, because they're making it up. Yeah, there are no dynasties from 1 to 20, the 26 dynasties that come from outside of Egypt. There's no such thing as an Asiatic pharaoh or European pharaoh before the Ptolemaic dynasty. So when they say that Caucasian pharaohs or Asiatic pharaohs, you have to ask them, where is this coming from? The book that you referred to where it refers to secondary Tau as being related to being a Nubian related to the old kingdom. Yeah, that is, I actually own that book. That is called the X-Raying of the Pharaohs, written by James E. Harris, and that's a very interesting book. But it also tries to say that Ramesses, and those later dynasties are of Mediterranean type, So, and they really didn't explain when they say Mediterranean type. So you say Mediterranean, what are you talking about? Greek, or are you talking about just the northern tip of Africa on the Mediterranean? This term, of a multicultural Egypt and Asiatic pharaohs and European pharaohs, it's not true. It has nothing to do with the real Egypt.
Yeah, so props to you for finding that source. So the two books that I was reading from, one is from Petrie, called The Making of Egypt, but Harris, the man named Harris, is actually famous for writing the book which Jurassic Park is like made out of, and he X-rayed the pharaohs as part of some like, I guess, PhD or some master's degree program or project that he did like on the side for fun, I guess. But yeah, Ramses, there are so many Rameses that like I don't even know like what he could be referring to, because they're like, how many Rameses are there? As because we know the first Ramses the first and the second were E1 B1A, so they look like a black guy in Chicago probably, right? But like I don't know where the other Rameses came from. I'm not very familiar with that, because some of them, I believe the first Rameses were just soldiers who were elevated to the position of pharaoh after the previous dynasties died out.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's the problem, because an Egyptologist and a scholar, they can make a lie sound so good, and that's why it is our duty, to dig deep in ourselves, to make the truth sound good, and
Mhm.
that's what's going on. That's why, and a lot of people are appealing to authority, and the
Mhm.
authority that they're appealing to is making the lie sound good. So that's why,
Yeah.
we can't, we can't let our guard down, but we have to, put in the effort, to make the truth sound good, and that's what's going on. They're making the lie sound good, and trying to convince that there was actually a Caucasian or multiracial Egypt before the Ptolemaic dynasty, and trying to make it seem like if there was actually Asiatic pharaohs other than the Hyksos, and truth
Well,
is, other than the Hyksos, there were no Asiatic or European pharaohs.
Yeah, brother Shaka, peace, Radio One.
Oh, peace, brother,
Peace,
peace.
brother. Peace.
Hassan, peace, bro. I
Peace.
was I was out and about, but I, you know, what I just find a little peculiar, brother Radio One, is that you just demonstrated that the other day that populations within between Kemet and the Red Sea were basically referred to as Arabia or Arabs. And you know, you demonstrated that yourself. So I find it, you know, kind of ironic that we would have such a difficulty, you know, understanding that the original stock was in the Arabian Peninsula was a similar stock to the stock that we find in East Africa ethnogenetically. You know, that's exactly what you demonstrated the other day. You know, so it's kind of strange to me that you would state that the Asiatics were are exclusively white, but at the same time demonstrate that their black Arabs flooded in the eastern desert. You know, that's kind of peculiar.
Yeah, but when I refer to the Asiatics, you know, that's the people who the yeah, the Asiatics are the people who the Egyptologists are trying to say that were whites ruling Egypt. You know, and
Oh, okay. No, they were
yeah,
not white.
yeah,
No,
yeah, and
correct.
that's that's what they're trying to make it seem as. Now
Hmm.
when I say Asiatics too, now I'm referring to the Asiatics like more to the north, you know,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
very important that you make that distinction. Yes, sir. I now I can agree with you again. Yes, sir. Yeah. Now that
yeah,
you make that
yeah,
distinction, because
yeah. So
they did use that designation to that actually it was a reference to black Asiatics as well as, you know, we had the other white Asiatics or what they call Semitics,
yeah,
semi or a very highly mixed stock, mostly more of that northern stock coming out of Europe, you know. But yeah, okay, all right, yes,
I
sir.
don't know.
I can agree with
I
that.
don't think the people of Europe during that period could have posed as much of a threat to the ancient Egyptians during that period. If you look at just the history, right? The Greeks leaned on Egypt and the knowledge of Egypt in order to sort of like build their civilization, right? There's quotes from Greek scholars saying, you know, we got everything we knew from Egypt, and they
Oh, they
even
did more than
adopted.
lean.
Well,
They did more than lean.
they even adopted Jehuti, right? Thoth,
Oh yeah,
as the god Hermes, and they said that, you know, he gave them all of their knowledge, and they started all of these cults, and then they adopted Isis, right? Isis became a huge figure for the ancient
right,
Greeks. She even survived until the time of Christianity, right? Her
yeah.
iconography with Horus, where she's
Hmm.
breastfeeding him, became the iconic image of, you know, Mary feeding Jesus. So like
That's right.
the Greek civilization and the ancient Egyptian civilization, right? The time where like they posed a threat and like could, you know, overtake Egypt or trample over them, they had already been being fed like information and like knowledge and like exchanging culture with the ancient Egyptians for quite some time before that. And so we're talking about, you know, after like sort of the Assyrian invasion. That's when we could say like Europeans are coming and doing anything in ancient Egypt. But before that, there's just no evidence of any of those sort of like civilizations being anything of note, which is why you don't talk about Greece during the time of ancient Egypt because they just weren't that
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. So
But
like when you see pictures of light skinned people, right? That they have that quote unquote Middle Eastern skin tone, and they have this straight hair and they have blue eyes as depicted in the murals of the ancient Egyptians. Where are you saying they came from? Because they didn't come from Europe.
yeah, I wanted to go back to your point on Greece. You know, the Greeks did they were influenced by Egyptian culture directly and indirectly because we also in the area of the Aegean and Crete, we had Minoans who were Africans. We had the early Etruscans, which were also Africans, and they're also, right up my alley. But there is genetic research on the area that says that there was many Africans in the area of the Aegean Sea, the Minoans, Crete, southern Europe, southern France, the Iberian Peninsula. All of that area, it was populated by Africans early on, and Europe. And when we look at the Greek system of deities, a lot of those deities relate back to Africans, like Aphrodite, uh, Memnon, and the other day, Radio One, you had mentioned one that is very popular. Damn, right on the tip of my tongue, I can't get it. But a few of the deities, Zeus. When you said that Zeus, when he wasn't around, the Greeks said that the Zeus was in that Zeus was in Ethiopia, or he went back, to his homeland, so which was Ethiopia. But we have many instances of that. So, I'm not really arguing for any type of white dominance, but what I'm saying, it was, in my opinion, there was intermixing in the Aegean, but the original occupiers were in fact African, and there is genetic research that it demonstrates that. That's why the Greeks have dark hair and dark eyes, similar to Italians from African colonization and admixture. We took on many white concubines early on. That's what I'm gathering from my research, that in the beginning it wasn't them, taking our women. It was us coming in, or them coming into contact with us as the dominant force, and then the black man taking on, many white concubines. And, that started lightening North Africa and the Mediterranean even before Europeans came into power. We were indulging and messing around with white women. They looked different, and they were, I guess, a little freaky or something, excuse me for the lack of a better term, but brothers indulged in it. And it's a scripture that actually supports that as well, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took wives from amongst them. I look at that as a very true historical and accurate statement, in its proper context.
Well, what
Yeah.
happened in ancient Egypt? I keep on bringing up that quote, right, from time immemorial. I'm sure Shaka will correct me if I get it wrong. Was it Amenhotep the first who said that? Amenhotep the third. But he talks about how no Egyptian. Oh, okay, thank you. I knew he would. So Amenhotep the third, says, from time immemorial, no Egyptian princess has been given to anyone, right? In response to, I believe it was like a Hittite king saying, "Send me your daughter." Or whatever. And so, like, biblically, if we want to talk about the ancient Egyptians, their culture doesn't sort of align with the idea of like Solomon and like the Pharaoh's daughter. But what you're talking about when, we have these women from different countries marrying into the Pharaoh's family, yeah, that happened because a lot of the times these foreign cultures, it's more dominant to be somebody's father-in-law. It's more dominant to be someone's father-in-law. So it's more dominant to be someone's father-in-law in this foreign culture, but for the pharaoh, it shows more of an act of domination to have a foreign wife. Like, I've conquered this princess. So it worked perfectly for sort of like making peace with these peoples as Egypt started to expand into the Levant, or like expand into Asia, right? Because they had an empire that went as far, like past Israel at one point, to protect their borders. So there's some truth there. What I just don't understand is, like, are you saying, like, where are you saying the Hyksos are from if they're not from the Levant or the like if they're not from like Western Asia? We both agree they're from Western Asia, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah. I think what helps us out a little more, just unpack his Hyksos a little bit, and when we deal with the Shasu, which I believe is the same group. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, Shaka, though, but the Shasu are the same group as the Hyksos.
No, I wouldn't say so because the
You wouldn't say
Hyksos,
so?
the no, the Hyksos are Heka Hasut. So Sashu would not be the same. It sounds
Yeah.
similar, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I know that they are referred to as Amu and coming from the land of Retinue, which is Canaan. You know, that's what we
Now,
do know from.
Oh,
yeah,
retinue.
Amu,
Well,
Amu, Amu is the word that is usually translated by Asiatics. So
mm,
that could be very
right.
broad, very large, and unless we have some indication that is talking about a specific group of people. But
Usually
yeah,
West Asian, though, right?
I can't say for sure. I mean, Asiatics. So it, I can't say specifically, really.
Shaka, can I ask you a question? So would they call like um I don't even know how to pronounce it. Tejenu, Thenu, but however you pronounce that, TJH.
Tamahu, Tamahu.
All right. Would they call them Amu too, or would they not?
Uh, that I don't know. But what is interesting is that most people, I would say, agree that Temahu that will be they will be white skinned people, white people. But we have one sister who is part of the all black everything clique, and she claims that the Tamahu were black. But I'm just leaving it there. And that
Yeah,
sister, she's called Dana Manish
yeah,
Reynolds.
yeah. She's pretty good, though, you know, in my opinion. But
Well,
I think the brother,
she will be good for you because she goes everybody's black. All the Asiatics, the
brother,
Burmese, all
no,
black.
no, everybody's not black. But the brother had a good point when he brought up the Amu and the relationship to the Amazigh. I have read some material that make a connection between the Amu and the Amazigh in the context that they are basically Berber, but black Berber, not white Berber.
Yeah, and also, I would say that Tamahu and Tehenu is in the same category as Amu, because when we go to the yeah, not to say that it is the same, but it's a different word, but it's in the like in the same category as Amu in the Nehesu, because when we go to the Book of Gates, Races of Mankind from the Tomb of Seti I, he makes that distinction between the Amu, the 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 Timahu, and the Nehesu, which is the Nubians. So it's I would say that Amu is in the same category as Timahu, but it's at the same time it represents a different race from the Timahu. The Amu refers to the Asiatics in the east, but the Tamahu is referring to the people of Libya to the west. And the Nahisu is referring to the people south. So it's like they're yeah, I wouldn't say that the Tamahu is a branch of the Amu. They're two separate branches. But it's in an equal category. You have the Tamahu and you have the Amu. The Tamahu to the east and the Amu to the west. I mean, the Tamahu to the west and the Amu to the east. So yeah, that's the best way I can put it.
Is there any term for like people with like ghost skin or for like really light skin that like I'm just wondering like where would we you mentioned the Book of Gates, and one of the thing about specifically the image that you'll find on the internet is like from the 1800s. It's been recolored from the 1800s, and the original looks different. Like the original, if you took a picture of the Medu Neter on the wall, it looks different than like the painting for some reason. I
Right,
don't know why they would do that, but
right.
I'm just wondering if there's anywhere where the sort of Egyptians sort of verbally contrast like their skin or like how they perceive Amu or Tejenu, like because they definitely it was important for battle to like distinguish between Rabu or some Libyan from the west and some Amu from the east. I'm just wondering like how they would describe that because we see a lot of pictures, but I'm wondering if we have any sort of verbal indications of like how they differentiated these people.
Yeah, on that reconstruction or rendering of the Book of Gates, I saw that they're like maybe 2 or 3 different reconstructions of the images on the Book of Gates, and that is, you know, that was done intentionally, you know, to make, you know, to try to make it to try to make the ancient Egyptians less black, you know, because on that, you know, on that reconstruction, they made the ancient Egyptians very, very light brown. They kept the Nubians black, okay, but they made the Asiatics white as the Talmud, when the Asiatics were shown as light brown on the
Correct.
actual tomb. Yeah,
That is
yeah. So
very important.
yeah, yeah. So they
Yes.
did that intentionally.
So on point, bro.
Yeah, but you know, yeah, that's yeah. So you have to be careful, you know, with these reconstructions, you know,
Yes.
of
And for the
image.
record, there's another term for Asiatics, which is Setetu.
Setechu,
Oh
like
yes,
set,
yes,
like
yes.
upset. Mm.
I'm not sure it's offset because from the glyphs it doesn't appear so to me. But I'm saying I'm not sure. I'm not saying outright is not the case, but I don't think
Mm.
so.
Yeah, that's interesting too. Uh, Especially when we look at the again, it's slipping my mind. I'm out. It's dealing with Set though. Early on in the warship of Set. I can't remember the name though. It was a warrior that went by a similar name. Forgive me.
Yeah.
Well, brothers, we might talk about this ruler when the name close to set at another time because it's been 2 hours. It's actually 11 p.m. and I have to work tomorrow morning. But I want to thank you all for calling in, and I will let you all make your closing remarks. And we might as well go clockwise. We'll start with Radio One, then with Hassan, and then with Afro Asiatic. So, Radio One, please feel free to make your closing remarks.
Oh yes, yes, indeed. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to, you know, speak on history in this subject. You know, to me, yeah, but you know, it's when we deal with pre-dynastic Egypt, you know, pre-dynastic Egypt does not have, you know, the many written records as dynastic Egypt do. You know, so we know, you know, that New Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, yeah, Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and New Kingdom Egypt. You know, they have writings saying, you know, where they went. You know, we know according to their writings, they went from north to south, east to west, you know, west to east, you know. But when it comes to pre-dynastic Egypt, you know, it pretty much all depends on, you know, archaeological opinion, you know, and many times these archaeological opinions do not correspond with the historical reality, and you know, they're just made up. But you know, with with New Kingdom and Middle Kingdom sources, we don't have to do that because the writings are right there, you know. And I find it hard to believe that, you know, the ancient Egyptians say that they went far west, you know, in their writings, but many people will accept the ancestors of the Egyptians coming from the west when there's no writings on that. So you know, I just want to say, you know, read the sources, read and study the ancient inscriptions and records and sources of the ancient Egyptians. You know, don't you know don't make up your own opinions and beliefs. You know, read and study these things before you even talk. You know, because you don't want a lie to come out your mouth. You know, and you don't want to make up any lies. So you know, base your information off sources and that way you can validate what you say. But other than that, it's been great, talking and building with you brothers, and I'll leave it there. And peace out and hotep, brothers.
Thank you, brother. Hotep to you, brother Radio One. We've lost our brother Afro-Asiatic. You're free to come back on. You might have lost connection, but brother Hassan, please feel free to make your closing remarks.
Yeah, I would just like to just make a quick note that like in addition to like Egyptians associating foreign cultures and foreign lands and foreign invaders with Set, um weirdly enough, the Hyksos king decided to call himself a Pep, which is like this like basically the devil for some reason. I don't know why that happened or why was that a thing. But I'm interested in
I'm sorry, brother. How did they call themselves?
he called himself a Popfis or a Pep.
Oh, Apep. Okay, Apep. Yes, yes. The rule of the Hyksos. Yes, indeed. And Apep is what the Greeks call Apophis, indeed, which was the snake, and it is close to the devil, but really one of the least friendly entity in Kemet. So yes. Please continue, brother.
Yeah. I mean, I just found that super odd, but yeah, I think I'm interested in kind of learning more of the meta nature. I know some of the I have a vocabulary at least of the Egyptian like language and whatnot, but I think the meta nature would help because I'm interested to see when certain scholars make claims like the ancient Egyptians thought they were from Punt. I want to look at the hieroglyphs and sort of like understand like what they're talking about, because even if I want to believe it, even if it's wishful thinking, it's better to know. So let me know when you have those classes.
Well, as a matter of fact, I have the classes. I have them on a regular basis, and the way it works, people just give me their availabilities, and then we agree on a day. Most people keep the same day. Like those who take the classes on Sunday, Saturday, they usually keep the same day. But if they want to have different day, then it's up to them. So they basically tell me whenever they're available, and when we agree, they make the payment via PayPal, and then that's it. So it's that simple.
All right. Well,
Yo,
I'll get to you on that.
Yeah.
yes,
So just
yes,
just just let me just type my email address for everybody. So if anybody's interested, this is the email address to reach me on. But go ahead, brother Radio One.
yeah. I just wanted to add to what Hassan was saying. Yeah, like the ancient Egyptians, the claim, the belief that the ancient Egyptians came from the land of Punt and Cush. That pretty much, that's pretty much historical reality and common sense. And you have to kind of go outside of the Egyptians themselves because you have to look at other records and other archaeological evidence that proves that. But one thing that is certain, according to the ancient Egyptians themselves, is that they originated in southern Egypt. They always said that southern Egypt is the home of ancient Egypt. That's one thing, that the ancient Egyptians themselves said, that southern Egypt is the beginning of their civilization and their origin. And I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, brother. Now, Hassan, I don't know if you had finished. Uh, okay, well, he's muted. But okay, so thank you very much for both of you, to both of you, sorry. And indeed, just for those who don't know, um if you are interested with the Meta classes, this is the flyer, so to speak. So it's only $10 per class. $10 for people who are in America and for people who are in Europe. €10. And thank you very much for being there. Please subscribe to my channel and also follow me on Twitter. so you can be notified of the time when I go live stream, because that, I must admit, is not regular. Sometimes I have a bit of time on my hands. Sometimes I feel like talking with the family, but it's not really regular, because I work full time. So I have to deal with the two things. But I'm always happy to hear from you, brothers and sisters. Because I have hundreds of videos and I share a lot of information, but I like to know how people think and why they think a certain way. And it's really good to hear from people who actually agree with me or like my work, because I get a lot of hostility, but that comes with the territory. So thank you very much for tuning in, brothers and sisters. Stay safe, stay healthy, and if I'm allowed to, Brother Necheru, I will definitely holler back at you. Hotel.
Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving Medu Nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video, Kemet and Ma'at, Before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Nature class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Nature lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Nature, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's interested in learning the Meta Nature, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Neture classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class. And all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Neture class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/maatforever.